Learning how to read guitar music is probably a lot easier than you may have thought. It's called tab, and anybody can learn to read it in less than a minute. Let's get started. Tab consists of 6 lines. Each one represents a string on the guitar. The guitar has metal frets. We place our fingers between the frets and give them numbers, like 1, 2, 3, and so on. If there's a number 2 on the top line, put your finger on the 2nd fret of that string. The tab tells you exactly the fret and string on which to place your finger. Pluck the string with your other hand to play the note. If there is a 0, don't hold any fret, just pluck the string. This is called an open note. If you see more than one note on top of each other, play them all at the same time. Imagine there's a bar traveling across the tab from left to right. As it hits something, play it. Now that you know how tab works, it's time to learn some basic techniques. You will see how they look written out, as well as how to play them on your guitar. Let's begin. Play the first note regularly, then hammer down to create the second note. Play the first note regularly, then pull off with your finger to create the second note. Play the first note and slide your finger to the next note. Play the note and shake it. Play the note and bend it up. Gently place your fingers on the strings to mute them. Make sure not to press down. When strummed, this creates a percussive sound. Listen to the difference. Since no musical notes are produced, it doesn't matter which fret your hand is over when you mute the strings. That's why it's represented with an X. Now that you know the most basic techniques, we can start getting into the more advanced ones. By the end of this video, you'll have everything you'll need to start learning songs using tab. Let's get into it. Our next technique is called the trill. Hit the string once, and then hammer on and pull off as fast as you can over and over. Tap the note with the picking hand rather than the fretting hand. Pick slide. Drag your pick across the strings. Play with different spots to see what sounds best. Lightly touch the string with your finger without pressing down. Make sure your finger is over the actual metal for the best results. Pick the note, and then release your finger a split second afterwards. This is called a natural harmonic. These usually come out the best over the 5th, 7th, and 12th fret. Gently place your palm over the strings to mute them. The note is still heard, it's just slightly muted, creating a different effect. Listen to the difference. This is how it sounds normally, and this is how it sounds with the palm mute. The closer your hand is to the bridge, the less muted the notes become. Okay, so anyway, my equipment, what I use pretty much all the time is acoustic guitar. I like to use nylon string. It's more like a classical flamenco thing. That's my style more so than steel string guitar. Although I do like the steel strings. It's a totally different sound, and I do like that. And then there's the electric guitar. You might have seen it before. This is the RKS. Now, these guitars are obviously out of this world, and I like that because if you've seen any of my videos, like, I just like anything out of this world is awesome to me. Like, I love watching stuff that's just like, no way. Like, what the heck is that? Like, that's me. Like, I like ridiculous. I have a gold one like this that can't show you right now. I wish I could, but I kicked it in the face when we were filming the last video and broke off. So they're fixing that right now for me. So I'll do a video or something with that again. But anyway, these guitars are amazing. They're called RKS. They're a new company, and they make obviously really nice guitars. And these are my favorite guitars to play with right now. So this is what I use live. This is what I use to record with. And I don't know, they're really good, they feel great, and I really like that there's nothing on the face of it, so that way, I don't know, I get crazy sometimes, and, you know, like, I'll be playing and I'll hit, like, a button, or the volume will go down because, like, my hand is swooshing, and I don't know, that just kind of sucks, because I don't want the volume to go down while I'm playing. So, they designed it so that the volume is in here, so it only moves when I tell it to move, which is very important for me, because sound matters, and yeah, if you hit something and it goes down when you're trying to play something, that's not cool at all. Same thing with this. This is the pickup selector. It's built in right here. So yeah, you can't mess anything up really unless you're like playing like this, which would never happen. So this is my electric setup. I like to plug this in to my pedal board, which is the Boss GT6. And I don't know, I've had this thing for about 5 or 6 years. Hasn't died on me. I love it. I know my way around it. I'll probably have it till it dies, or maybe I'll fix it. I don't know. I've tried other pedals. They're great. Everything's really great, but this is kind of like what's been with me, so I know it really well. And I can put like a multitude of effects all into one patch, which is cool, because that way I can go from one plethora of like effects to the next plethora. And if I had a bunch of like separate pedals, it's like I gotta stomp on like 8 pedals at once just to get the sound I want, and then like stomp on another 8 when it's time for the chorus. Like, doesn't work for me. So multi-effects processing is definitely the way I have chosen for a live setup. So that's what I use for that. And then from there, I go into my Bogner Shiva head and Marshall 1960s B cab. And I really like the combination of those two, because first of all, the Marshall, I mean, you can't really go wrong when you get a Marshall. And I don't know, Bogner, just the sound of the head itself is just amazing. It's not too metal, it's not too gainy. It's kind of like just right, and the clean is really good on it. And as far as picks go, I like to use the heavy ones, because for me, it's like you really get out of it what you put into it. And floppy picks, they're cool, but for me, it seems like those are more for like strumming acoustic guitar, because you get that nice, beautiful ring out of it. I don't really do a lot of that, so when I have a pick, it's usually I want everything to happen as I'm doing it, like when I'm doing it. So that's what the thick pick really helps me and delivers like what I'm looking for as far as picks. So a big tip about that also is live, you know, if you're going crazy and you're doing all these big movements, you can do that, but you don't have to hit the string as hard as it looks like you're hitting it. And that's one thing that I use all the time, because if I really hit the string as hard as it looks like I am, I'm gonna break it, or it's gonna go out of tune, and that's gonna sound like garbage. You do not want to sound like garbage. So yeah, when it's like anything with guitar, like you want to look like you're doing a really cool thing, but really you're brushing it like as much as it needs to. You don't want to overhit it, because when you overhit, like it tends to like go sharp, and then because you did that, it like they detune, and it's just a bunch of like garbage. So watch what you do. You know, if you're just gonna play by yourself, like real low, great. If you play live, you make it look big. Don't actually hit big, just make it look like that. So the first technique I'm gonna show you is strumming. guess we'll start with that. It's more of the, a rhythmic thing. So what you want to do is, you probably already know how to strum the guitar, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. What I do when I strum and I don't have a pick, I kind of hold my fingers like that, like as if I do have a pick, but I don't clench them, I don't tighten them. They're just kind of like if they were rubber, like it'd be kind of flopping, like my fingers would be flopping, and they're touching, but they kind of, as I go, it's just really just flopping, and you don't want it to get tense. And when you go down, you're using that side of the nail, sounds good. When you go up, you're using that side of the nail, so it also sounds good. So, just let it, if I tense up my fingers, I'm gonna break the strings probably. And my hand's gonna get tired if I'm playing a long song that has strumming. So just let it flop, like let it naturally get the tone out of it that it needs to, because it's your fingernails, they're pretty much like two picks. So I don't really have long fingernails, I just have regular ones. I can't seem to keep them long enough because I do all these weird crazy things all the time and then they'll break. And so I'm like classical guitarist, I don't really get to grow my nails out and have cool 5 picks on my hand like those guys, but I make do with what I can. And another thing that I do with strumming is, if I'm just regular kind of strumming, or simple strumming, or whatever you want to call it, I just use my pointer finger, I leave everything spread out, and it's kind of like this, and I just kind of let it flop, or it even kind of goes sideways like this. It's not really an up and down thing. I'm not like physically doing this, I'm kind of like letting it, I'm kind of doing this motion, and it's just kind of flopping. Can't stress the flopping, that's like a big tip there, in guitar anyway. So, what we're going to do is, that's pretty much, I like, sometimes when I want the, the little imaginary pick thing, like I said, it's just a little harsher, if you want like a stronger sound, use the little, mock pick thing. But when you want just like a groovy kind of softer, I like to use that. Right, moving on to the cool strumming. Okay, now flamenco is where I get a lot of my passion, and I love the techniques that flamenco has, and the techniques are so, when you think about it and when I show you, they're really easy, and but they sound really intricate, and they sound like a million things are going on, and it just sounds like, are you kidding me? Like somebody playing that right now? Like, but it's really like, it's the technique that makes it sound so amazing. It's like a magic trick. When you just listen to it, you're blown away. But when you like see like how easy like the technique really is, it's like, are you kidding me? Like that's the trick. So I'm gonna show you these little magic tricks. First one is the, I guess 5-finger strum is what some might call it. It's in flamenco everywhere, they do the brrrrum, and what they do, and the way I like to do it most is you kind of throw your hand in a fist, right? Not tensed, just put it in that position, and you're gonna start off by flicking out your pointer finger, and after that you're gonna go in order 1, 2, 3, 4, starting from your pinky. So it's gonna go 1, 2, 3, and then your pointer finger again. So I know that's kind of weird, so it's going to start with the pointer finger, go pinky, ring finger, middle finger, pointer finger again. So that's a total of 5 hits. So we're going to start with pointer, pinky, ring, middle, pointer. 5 hits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You want to make sure you practice this slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure that each hit is just as loud as the next and the previous. So consistent. You don't want it to be like lower. Like you don't want it to be like one is loud, one is low, one is loud, one is loud, one is low. You want all of them to be the same intensity. Practice it slow. I know we all like to go fast and do it as fast as possible without messing up, but you really need that timing, that da 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 da. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So practice that. Okay, there is another variation of this that you know, it's just a different, you know, might work better for you, might not. Same thing. You're gonna 5 hits, but instead of doing the weird, you know, pointing your finger first and last, you know, that's kind of weird. It's gonna be all in sequential order, starting from the pinky. Ring, middle, pointer, thumb. So it's all downstrokes. So that's what you're doing. Sometimes you want it to just sound like a really fast, you know, practice that. So that's pretty much that. And once you practice both of those, you can do them and make them sound the same, although they're doing, you know, you're doing different things with your hands. So you know, just pick the one you want to use. Same thing as produced, just a different way of doing it. Alright, now this next one is my favorite strumming technique. And what this is it's a triplet, meaning you're going to hear 3. And like, I guess the first beat, you know, is the most accent. It's just like da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So how we're going to accomplish this, and this is what it's what I use on the Zelda video when I'm doing the ukulele thing at the end, when I'm just going nuts. Yeah, you know, it's just fun to do it. It's a good thing to have, especially when you want to like, and you just want to be, you don't have a pick and you want really fast attacks and strums, but consistent. And this is a really cool strum because it sounds really, really consistent because there's only 3 notes in there. You don't have to train your, you know, each finger. I know that's hard to train each of your 5 fingers, but this one is a lot more basic. You'll see. So how we do this is, I don't know, we kind of hold our hand in the rock out or the Spider-Man pose, you know, like that's kind of like the form of the hand. And these fingers act as one. So this is like one big finger, and your thumb is what you're going to be using. That's it. Just these 2 fingers. You know, this is one finger, this is the other finger. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to keep it, like I mentioned earlier, strumming, you want it to be loose so you can do it forever and not get tired. Because if you tense up, you know, you're going to get tired after a while. And there's no need for that, because you can make it sound really good without being tense and without making your strings go out of tune. We have our thumb, and we have the big finger here that we have created. We'll call that Spidey. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down with Spidey, and then down with thumb, and then back up with the thumb. So, once again, you're going to go 2 downstrokes, Spidey, thumb, and then back up with the thumb. So those are your 3 hits. 1, 2, 3. So that's how we do that. Now, you don't want to go like a big up and down arm motion. You want it to be more of a twisting, like you're trying to tune into like some radio station or something, I suppose. It's more of a like this movement, as opposed to a harsh up down using all your arm strength and getting tired movement. And also what I found helps me out do this is so I'm doing this. I'm doing the tuning into the station with my Spidey hand, and also while I'm doing that, I kind of go in a circle this way, so to speak. So I'm kind of like doing this. I'm kind of like, if you can see that. So I'm kind of coming down over here, and then up with the thumb here, down, down, up, down, down, up. I'm over-exaggerating it to get the point across, but once you get circular motions, it's really easy to do it, as opposed to using your muscle and just getting tense. So it's like, now it doesn't look like this. I was over-exaggerating that, so you get how I approach it mentally, and that helps me a lot. So try that out. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And like any strum, you want every attack to be just as loud as the other one and just as spaced out as the others. So it's consistent and it's solid. You can hear all three. You don't always have your guitar with you. Maybe you do, maybe you're like cool like that, but a lot of the times I'm traveling or I'm somewhere and I have no guitar with me. I forgot to bring it, or I figured, I'm not gonna need it, I'm not gonna have time, and then here I am sitting and I have like 6 hours to kill, or whatever, an hour to kill. What I do is, if you've ever seen me on the street waiting for a train, or I'm doing something, like you'll see me, I'll have like a drink, because everyone gets a drink, like whether it's a like soda bottle, a can or whatever, some carpet cleaner, like even if you don't have anything, I use my knee. I act like it's my guitar, and I practice those things I just showed you. I'll hit 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5, then I'll just do that. Make sure it's steady. Triplets. Da 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 da. 1 2 3. Like, and when you do this, it's just gonna build that second nature into it. So when you go to your guitar next, you're gonna pick it up and just be like ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. You don't even need to practice guitar to practice guitar. Okay, so now I'm gonna go into picking with the right hand. Basically, the two things that I use most are my thumb and I guess, these fingers, that kind of action. So when you're using the thumb, I tend to find that if your hand is kind of like just naturally like flopped, and this right here like this, that makes using the thumb just a lot easier. And it's natural, like you're not going to get tension in the wrist or anything. You're using kind of like a direct, you're doing just this, just kind of, as opposed to using like the side, which you can use also, and you are going to run into that. Sometimes you're going to need to use the side of the thumb, right here, and just, but if you're doing like a lead line, I like to use this position and hit. Okay, sometimes I use my fingers. That kind of thing. And same thing, it's kind of like having two thumbs. I'm in that little hunched over mode, Just natural, Don't stress it too much. Okay, so this technique is it's a bass and an arpeggio kind of going on at the same time. So let's do with the A chord, the A minor chord. And what's going to happen is I'm going to be using all the fingers except the pinky. So the thumb is going to control all the bass, and then these are going to do the arpeggios. So what we're going to do is it's 4 notes in the bar, and say we're doing the A minor chord. We're going to hit the bass with the thumb, and then start. You're going to have these already prepped, laying on these 3 strings, the 3 bottom strings. So ready? Here we go. A. And starting from the bottom, the ring finger, middle, pointer. So it's like you're just coming up on. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And in this technique, my thumb I'm using the side of the thumb, like I was saying earlier. I'm kind of just plucking it like that down and using this side, and then these 3 are laying there, and it allows me to have that little arc, that little. So it just rests there, and it's not too tense. So yeah, just let it naturally fall right there. Have everything prepped, and then just practice that. sure that each note is heard just as loud as the other one, and that it's spaced out the same. So you can alternate your bass too. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then switch to this, the other, bass note that's in that chord, and then so you're doing. So another technique I like to use that's kind of arpeggio-like is it's a triplet of the same thing that you just learned. It's the bass note first with the thumb, and then you're going to use these two fingers to do the next part. And you're going to come down with the thumb, and then up with the middle finger, then the pointer finger. So if you're all prepped out and your two fingers are there, your thumb is there, okay, you're going to go bass. 1, 2, 3, triplet. Just do it slowly. Get that really solid. The notes are all the same duration. They're all the same intensity, same volume. High notes can be heard just as much as the bass note. So you distinctly hear 3 notes. That's what you want to get, slowly. And then you build it up. You can do that in reverse, or sort of. Basically, you're going to come down on the thumb still, but then do the pointer finger and then the middle finger. So it's. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that's typically the one I use more than the other ones. So it's usually the bass. And it gets higher and higher, like do-do-da, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, this technique is really cool because you can do really cool bass lines with a bunch of weird other stuff going on. And it's like, what is going on? It's just like, so all I'm doing is I'm changing the bass note, and this is really easy. That's all I'm doing. I'm using 2 fingers over here, and then I'm doing that technique over here, and that's where the magic happens. Okay. And kind of a variation off that is a little tremolo thing that I do sometime with my lead lines. It's the same idea. So you're coming down with the thumb and then up with the other two. So it's like 1, 2, 3. But if we do that on the same string, say like the high E string over here, down with the thumb, up with the other two. It's 1, 2, 3. So if you're soloing, you can do stuff like. So, okay, the bass is gonna go. It's just basically, the side of the thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4. So, the lead line on top of that is doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So these are happening at the same time. So practice this, over and over until you have it solid. And, once you get that, start moving around this high string. So try that out. So if you just keep repeating that over and over, they're going to line up at 12 eventually, because one piece of it is doing it 4, and one piece of it is doing it at 3. So, the first common multiple is 12. So it's going to loop kind of at 12 rhythmically. And that can be cool in itself. But say you want it to come, a little earlier. You want the loop to come a little earlier, like after 4. So it's in 4/4. So this technique can actually be in 4/4 and, a little more usable for songs. Because not a lot of songs, I guess, use 2 time signatures at the same time that loop at 12. So how we accomplish that is we're going to do a little fill, I guess is what you'd call it, right there at the end of that 4th bass note. So we're going to go, and here's the fill. You're going to go kind of double time. So we're going to throw that in at the end. So that's how we bring it to 4/4. Whoa, we went forward in time. I just kind of wanted to add this. Once you learn how to do techniques and play guitar, for the first time, it's very satisfying, very cool, and you can hear, melodies and songs happening, and it's coming through you, and it's the best feeling, right? But there's a lot when you're a beginner that's happening that you're not realizing, because you're just focusing on hitting, like, say, a power chord, right? So you're hitting this power chord. Yeah, focus on hitting those 3 strings to get the power chord, but when you're a beginner, you're kind of probably not noticing that you're hitting other strings as well. And there's stuff ringing out that shouldn't be. So I just want to bring your attention to, like, once you learn to play, you have to sort of add on to that what not to play, or, to mute the garbage. So pay attention to that. So, like, next time you're running through your favorite, like, riff, everyone kind of, like, has their favorite riff when they're noodling around in their room or whatever. Next time you're doing that, start to listen for the garbage, the stuff that shouldn't be in there, the other strings ringing out, like that sort of thing. And I remember when someone told me that when I was a beginner, I was like, what? And once I tried it out, I realized how dirty my playing was. And so I started to clean it up. But I didn't even hear that I was hitting all that garbage until someone pointed it out. So I just wanted to point that out to you. So say you're hitting power chord, right? 1, 2, 3. Those are the notes you're trying to get, right? And if you're paying attention to that, you're going to hit them. But if you're not paying attention to the other stuff, there's like other, this is ugly note up here, and then there's the strings under it. You want to start learning how to just play what you want. So, like with a power chord, a little trick is, this is what you're holding, right? Right? So you're holding these 3. And if you see this top, we can mute that with this finger here. So I'm going to just barely touch, see I'm barely touching it right here? This, to mute him. So I'm muting the top string. We just want to hear. So I'm actually hitting the top string, but we're not hearing it because I'm muting it with this finger here. I hope that makes sense. So you don't want to hold your power chords like that. You want to like learn, because you're going to learn once, anyway. You might as well learn the better way. So start to notice the stuff that you can adjust that's going to mute the garbage. So that's a good way to mute the top string. And then also the like
other part of this finger is also just barely touching the bottom strings. So I'm holding this power chord, and this finger is actually muting the top string, and it's, gently muting the bottom 3 strings. Or I'm sorry, the bottom 2 strings. I hope that's not confusing. I remember when I first learned it, I was like, oh no, how am I supposed to like add that to my playing? It was hard enough just learning how to play, but now I have to add like how to not, play garbage. It's kind of like a chore, but like just build it in to your normal practice, and then like it just becomes second nature. To even when you learn new techniques, you learn to like how to play things without the garbage. So be aware of the garbage. Okay, so then one more thing I wanted to show you is dynamics and feeling. Or I guess that's kind of one and the same. So like, say you're gonna have a line that's like a lead line that's something like that. I mean, it sounds cool, but to take it to like the next level, you want to add things like slides, pull-offs, hammer-ons, or even the vibrato. But you want to put it in the right place, and the funny part about that is like, you gotta feel where the right place is. You can't just know, or it's not set. Like, you have to like kind of feel it. So for me, I would feel like sliding into that first note would make it better, right? And then shaking it, right? Some vibrato. 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 Right? So that's so much better. So notice that when you're playing, like solos especially, or things, you want it to be emotional, and you want to express through these like slides, pull-offs, hammer-ons, and then volume. So also we can add, like, make the volume range, louder or lower. Let's play with volume. See how I play with the volume? It wasn't just like, you want to, depending on what the song is doing, you want to like match the emotion. That's going to take you from like, oh wow, this dude's good at guitar, to like, whoa, this is a guitar god. Alright, next I want to show you something like I like to do during practice is, once you sort of know like some chords and like some lead techniques and lines and scales or whatever, you can start to play sort of with yourself. You mix rhythm with lead, so like, right? And then we're just gonna add like some lead to that, and we're not gonna like do any prefab stuff. We're just gonna like feel it out, and we're gonna try to like stay on beat with the rhythm, and then go to the lead, and then back to rhythm, and then lead, and we're just gonna like see what happens, right? So So like, that was very rough, but like, when you kind of just start to like groove like this and just mess around and don't care what happens, you start to build this sort of, I don't know, this muscle or this like thing where like the music sort of plays you, and you're just there like kind of to be the instrument. Like, you're the instrument and somebody's playing the music through you. It's such a cool vibe. That I recommend everybody, if you're going to play in the first place, like try to get on that vibe and just, you're not really thinking at a certain point, and it just happens through you. It's amazing. So try to work that into your practicing, and let me know how it goes. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about improv. The previous clip kind of showed you kind of like beginnings of improv, right? So when you're practicing, you're just improvising. And this is a good skill to build. And it's really fun. But also, this is going to help you with playing with other people who are improvising as well. Like, say you have somebody, on like a little drum or drum kit or whatever, another guitar. You want to kind of be in sync with each other and like, in time and in rhythm. And what kind of taught me how to be a better improv player was the hand pan. I wish I had one with me right now, but the hand pan looks like a UFO or a turtle shell, and it's like a drum, and it's like a piece of metal, and you go ding 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 ding, and it's beautiful, right? So I actually bought one, and I learned how easy it was to play it, because when you hit the middle of the drum, it's in the key of it's all tuned, right? So say it's in the key of E. You hit the top, and boom, it vibrates in the key of E, right? And then each little circle, maybe there's like 8 circles, and each one that you tap, there's a note, and they're all pre-tuned to the key of like E major or minor or whatever your drum is tuned to. So no matter what you're playing, no matter what you hit, it's going to be in key, right? Because it's all tuned. Whether you're hitting the body or one of the individual notes, or they're kind of bleeding out, all the notes are bleeding out all together at once, like it doesn't matter because it's in like the key. It's in tune with itself. Man, I hope that makes sense. But what that showed me was that like no matter what you do, what you hit, it's going to sound right. So you're playing this thing. So the only way that it can sound wrong is if you're off rhythm. If you're like, and you're not doing anything sensible, or like, so you want to be like, but as soon as you lose beat, then you're done. So we want to take that concept of there's no such thing as a wrong note. The instrument is perfect, and no matter what you hit, it's going to sound good. Let's put that on guitar now. So no matter what I hit, it's going to sound good. Let's pretend, right? And the only way I can mess it up is if I'm off rhythm. Okay, so if I'm like, I'm on rhythm, I'm like playing a drum, and I'm gonna come out and go, I'm gonna hit something over here, I'm gonna hit something over there, but I'm gonna be in rhythm, right? So I'm not even gonna look at the guitar. So I'm constantly hitting on beat, and I'm rarely making any mistakes. So that, I think, is the key to like good improv, is like treat it like a drum. And it's very hard to hit a bad note when you do that. And if you do hit a bad note, I forget who said this, but there's a quote that says there's no wrong note. It's the note after that makes it wrong or not. So like when you're playing and you hit something that you didn't mean to, you have like one chance to bring it to the right spot. So notice that next time you're jamming out with yourself or with somebody else. When you mess up, see how fast you can recover, right? You kind of saw me do that a second ago. Don't be afraid of like the weird in-between notes. Just like walk it down, walk it off. Like, so if you hit something wrong, I didn't mean to go, to that weird wrong note, but then I was like, when in doubt, just walk it off. 1, 2, 3, do it. That's like a little trick you can use, but like, I'm just hitting stuff. It sounds amazing because like I'm on time and I'm hitting it as if I don't care and I know what I'm doing. Like I'm not trying to do that. I don't even plan like those notes. Like you just treat it like a drum, And the more techniques that you have and scales that you run through and stuff, it kind of gives you a better way to express, yourself through the guitar in real time. So practice all your scales and cool stuff, but then when it's time to jam, just let stuff come out and treat it like a drum, and don't be afraid to go to the wrong notes. Pretend like no matter what you do, it's going to sound amazing. Just like the handpan. No matter what you hit, it's going to sound right. So treat the guitar like that and you're going to do just fine. Alright, that's it. I kind of always wanted to add these few last thoughts to my previous video. That's why I looked so young, because it's from like 15 years ago. But so now you kind of have everything you need. I've taught you from no skills, how to read, how to do the simple techniques, how to do my techniques. And you have all my tabs available on my site. So get cracking. Shonsta out.